first of all, we just want to thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time out of your busy schedules to learn about ways that you can increase family engagement and boost children's learning with text messages. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you. So we're excited to tell you all about Ready for K, which is an evidence-based family engagement curriculum delivered via text message. And you will come away from today knowing about Ready for K and the research behind it, understanding the science behind why text messaging is an effective way to reach and engage all families. You'll build an understanding of what it's like to implement Ready for K, and we'll give you a sense of how you can interact with Ready for K as an educator, administrator, parent, or school leader. We have a great group of experts with us here today, and we are particularly excited to have one of our partners joining us to give you an on-the-ground look at his experiences with Ready for K. We can go to the next slide so you can see the faces of the folks who will be talking with you today. First, you'll hear from me. I'm Rebecca Honig. I'm the Director of Content at Ready for K, and I'll orient you around the Ready for K family engagement curriculum and system for reaching families. Then you'll hear from Keith Bowler, the Family Services Program Manager for Skagit Islands Head Start and ECEAP. And he'll give you a sense of what it's like to partner with Ready for K and implement the tool with your families. And finally, you'll hear from Sheikh, our Partner Success Manager at Ready for K, who will tell you about all the ways we're using ongoing research to inform the development of new family engagement solutions. So I think we'll leave time at the end to answer any questions you may have. So we're hoping you can hold your questions till the end, but do feel free to enter them into the chat feature as we go, so you can pose any questions or thoughts as they occur to you in real time. All right, let's jump in. We can start with the next slide. So parents want the best for their children, and we all know this, but many parents don't have all the tools, information, or foundation they need to support their child's early learning and development. And even those who do often lack the time and mental space to recognize and act upon teachable moments. This is particularly true for parents bearing the weight of poverty. The result is that over 50% of children enter kindergarten unprepared. Next slide. Ready for K is an evidence-based curriculum delivered via text message that gives families the tools and information they need to support their child's learning. So Ready for K is a low-lift, high-impact solution for sparking at-home teachable moments. Using text messages, we reach parents year-round, wherever they are, 3 times a week, starting at birth, and then continuing our support through 4th grade. If we go to the next slide, we can see an overview of our curriculum at a very high level. We have a whole child curriculum. Everything is written at a 3rd grade reading level. It's offered in English, Spanish, and Arabic. And it's aligned to the early learning standards of all 50 states, as well as the Head Start Early Learning Outcomes Framework. So let's jump in and have a look at what the parent experience is like. If we can go to the next slide. On Mondays, we send fact messages with information on specific skills and why those skills are important. So these skills are carefully sequenced so that we're building both the parenting muscles and the child-facing skills in scaffolded ways throughout the year. And no matter what explicit skill we're covering, we're always promoting positive and developmentally responsive parenting practices like following your child's lead and engaging in play-based hands-on learning. So the example on the screen highlights a message from our social emotional domain in our pre-K4 program. This message comes towards the beginning of the year as children are building self-awareness and self-esteem, which will help them then navigate friendships and learning the whole year through. And we can read it now. It says, fact, Kids are excited to learn about themselves. The more they learn about themselves, the more confidence they have to thrive in school. If we go to the next slide, we see that this fact message is followed up with a tip explicitly related to the fact. And this comes on Wednesdays. So on Wednesdays, we send tip messages with fun activities to grow the skill of the week by building on existing daily routines, like counting your steps on the way to the bus. In this tip, again, we're building off of the social and emotional fact message received on Monday, and this tip reads, tip, in the morning, look in the mirror together. Take turns naming your child's positive qualities. You have brown eyes, you are kind, you are strong. When we're creating these messages, access and ease are top of mind, so we always layer learning onto pre-existing moments. To ensure access, we actually never require additional materials, just the people, places, and things that already exist in a family's life. And we work with experts to review and version messages for cultural appropriateness and to really ensure that we're suggesting activities that resonate with all different lived experiences. These tips are followed on Friday with a growth message. And if we go to the next slide, we can see a look at one of those. These growth messages offer encouragement and easy ways to further develop the skill. We look at these growth messages as the skill plus one. So it's taking the learning a little bit further. So for example, if we were finding and naming letters on shampoo bottles on Wednesday, on Friday, we might also make each letter sound after we name it. In the example that we're exploring right now, this growth is building off of the tip message from the week, and it reads growth. Keep helping your child learn about themselves. As you look in the mirror, share things about your family, like where you live and your traditions. So that's sort of an overview of what a family receives every week. Now we'll have a look at why we chose text messaging. If we go to the next slide, we can dig into this. So we chose text messaging because it is by far the most accessible technology. We know that 97% of American adults under 50 have a cell phone. This is regardless of their background or economic resources. And we know that of those adults, 98% send and receive text messages. And those text messages have a 90% open rate. By comparison, the email open rate in education is only about 26%, and push notification rates are even lower. In the next slide, we can talk a little bit about our fact tip growth formula. So we chose this formula because in addition to having a background in education, the founder of Ready for K, Dr. Benjamin York, is a behavioral scientist. And what he found is that the way to make real lasting change, to really, really drive shifts in behavior, is to do it little bit by little bit, kind of like exercise, right? The way you develop a strong exercise routine is just by doing a little bit each day. We all want our kids to succeed, and we all want to do things that are important to helping them grow, but it can be extremely overwhelming when someone's asking you to do a billion things, or if they're speaking in big, sweeping, general terms, like literacy is as easy as ABC, you know, see and say letters, talk, read, write, and sing as you go about your daily routines. And you're like, I can't even get my kids out the front door without feeling like I want to curl up in a ball and cry, which is why Ready for K just asks parents to do one tiny little thing one week and another the next week, and we tell them why it's important. And we know that the Ready for K approach works. So it was first studied in a randomized control study with the Early Education Department of San Francisco Unified School District, which has a targeted pre-K program that serves the city's lowest income third. And we randomly assigned half of parents to receive program messages and half didn't receive the messages. We found that parents who received the text messages were more involved at home and school, and this was reported by teachers who were not aware of which parents were receiving the messages and which were not. We also found that the children whose parents participated gained 2 to 3 months of literacy skills over the course of the school year. We have actually extended this study in several follow-up studies. We have multiple ongoing evaluations of the program through partnerships with researchers at Stanford, Brown, and Notre Dame universities. And we now have the strongest evidence base in the field of digital parenting supports. We are always doing research, and in a recent follow-up study, we actually found that when we personalize the program, these gains increase by 63%, which is finding that we're very excited about and have built upon to develop new products. And here we'll tell you about that in a little bit. We also value parent feedback. In our most recent survey, 94% of Ready for K parents report doing a Ready for K activity at least once a week with their child. Parents do it, right? When they are armed with the tools and information to help their children succeed, they do it. And week after week, this builds their parenting muscles, and it actually reframes how they see their day. Everyday moments become teachable moments. If we go to the next slide, we can see some of our favorite parent feedback. We have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials from parents, so we just pulled a few to share with you today. Maya, that next slide highlights some of those. Here's a parent of a 4-year-old says, I used to read to my kids, but didn't show them the drawings. I couldn't read books in English, so I would only read in Spanish. Then the messages said I could just tell stories based on the drawings. Now I use the English books to make up the stories. This is a Spanish-speaking parent of a Head Start child. Here's another. I think the most important was the activity reminding me to talk to my baby. A lot of times I'd forget to narrate what I was doing. This changed the way I did a lot of things. Here's the father of a preschooler. All of them are great, and I use them all. I like them all because it's hard to know how to engage your child in learning and in which ways. It's very hard to know what's age appropriate, and these texts are the perfect quick guidelines. I'll just share 2 more. The Ready for K texts are very helpful for us parents. They're new ideas, and above all, they make us more involved with our kids. And this last one, I think, is my very favorite. It was sent in response to a particular activity we suggested. I've been laying down next to my daughter every morning when I'm waking her up and telling her how much I love her and how proud she makes us. She's now been waking up in such a great mood and looks forward to going to school. On the next slide, you just see an overview of all the wonderful partnerships we have. We're currently serving 200,000 families. We get Ready for K into parents' hands through partnerships with schools, Head Start programs, and community-based organizations and agencies. And we could not be more excited to have one of our partners here with us today. Keith, I am handing the microphone over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. So my name's Keith Bowler. I'm the Family Engagement Program Manager for Skagit Valley College for our early learning grant programs. We are in 7 school districts across a 3-county area, pretty diverse communities. We have a center out on San Juan Island, and so really isolated, and also moving up into the foothills of the Cascades. We are in the Concrete School District, so just rural isolated community. Here in Skagit Valley, it's an agricultural corridor, so we work with a lot of migrant Spanish-speaking families. And we're also out on Whidbey Island, which is home to a naval air station. So diverse communities. Next slide. So each fall we survey our families. We do what we call a strengths, need, interest survey, where families tell us what they're looking for in terms of services. And we are using CCR Analytics out of Ventura, California to do our analytics. So they take all the surveys and they roll them up by site and by classroom. Next slide. So we've been doing the survey process for about 5 years, and we have consistent themes that show up. Families come to us. The top 2 activities over the past 5 years, families are looking for how to get their children ready for kindergarten. They're also looking for just tangible activities they can do to help their children learn and grow. And then you can see the other 2. Coping with change is a big one, which we use our mental health consultants to get at, and then parenting skills. Next slide. And this is just a picture of, again, you know, what are the top 5 in terms of what parents are telling us they're looking for in terms of family parent engagement in our program. Next slide. So this is an interesting one, but it's just a breakout. Our top 2 languages are English and Spanish. So we're about 60% of our families are English speakers, about 40% are Spanish speakers. We do have a small pocket of Russian speaking families as well. But again, really similar in terms of what they're looking for. And Ready for K helps us you know, meet these needs and interests. Next slide. All right, so, you know, when it comes to parent engagement, you know, for our Head Start program, like, we're serving the neediest of the needy families. Our selection criteria is based on need. So it's based on the federal poverty guidelines, and then also other risk factors. Homeless children and kids in foster care go right to the top of our waiting list. The families that we're working with, they are all experiencing poverty, and they're busy trying to keep their heads above water. We don't always have a great connection of, like, moms or dads dropping off or picking up their kids in the program. Some come to us by bus. And one story that really opened my eyes last spring, we had a single mom come to the center. We hadn't seen much of her. Her mother was the one doing most of the pickup and drop off. She wasn't, or it was our impression that she wasn't super engaged with us. But she came to us and said, hey, I've got a new phone. I really liked getting the Ready for K messages. Can I give you my number so I can keep getting them? And that was just like, for me, an aha moment. Like, wow, we're reaching our hard to reach families. We've also we have a number of children who have parents in 2 homes. And so it's also been really great for us reaching out to the fathers. And so we have, one of our dads is down in Seattle, which is, 70, 80 miles away. He gets his daughter on the weekend, like every other weekend. He was able to use his cell phone number to sign up for Ready for K, just so he's aware of what's going on with her education. And when he has her, he can do some of the activities with her. So that's been really great for us. The other thing I would say is when it comes to the homeschool connection, so our teachers have access to a teacher newsletter. So they have a general sense of what's going on with the text messages that are getting pushed out to families. And so it just creates a stronger homeschool connection for my program. Next slide. So for me as an administrator, we're in a data-driven culture. I really like the data dashboard that I get. It's really easy to navigate. The data visualization is super digestible, and my director loves it. So, and yeah, next slide. So here is just where we're at. This was from, I think, in December. We're up above 400 active enrollments now. But I can see, like, at a glance how many of my English speaking families are getting the messages, how many of my Spanish speaking families are getting the messages. And here's the pie chart with the age distribution. Next slide. Again, a little bit about language. The other thing that I can see on my dashboard is who's opted out. And so far, our opt-outs have been really, really low. So, you know, I know, like, we're reaching our families. Teacher newsletters, I think I already touched on this one, but again, the teachers can see what's coming up the month ahead. They can plan some classroom activities. One of the things that I'm planning with my education department is having like once a month, we're gonna have like a day where a parent can, like, say at drop off, come into the center, maybe have breakfast with their kid, and then do one of the activities that's coming up that they're gonna be getting with the text messages. So again, it really creates a nice, strong connection from home to the classroom. Next slide. And yeah, so again, we get mid-year reports. I've also been getting a quarterly report. Ready for K has been doing a little survey work with the families about their experience. And again, having like a really user-friendly visualization is very helpful for me. I think most of the folks out there in the Head Start world have a ton going on any given day, and you know, Ready for K makes the parent engagement piece really easy. As part of our self-assessment last year, I checked in with our policy council. So we have a group of parent leaders from each of our centers, and our policy council reps every one of them were thumbs up on Ready for K in terms of, you know, they're connected to their phones. It's, they're doing the activities. It's just a nice way to reach folks. Next slide. Okay, I think this goes back to you, Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. This is here. Thank you so much, Keith. I'm going to take it from here. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Hir Sheikh, and I'm the Partner Success Manager at Ready for K. So I am the person who works at the intersection of the content and our partner experience. So what I do is essentially help our partners maximize effectiveness within their communities by best understanding what their needs are and working with our content team to make sure that we're delivering on those needs. I will be walking you through some of the different products that we've come up with using our research-based evidence. As Rebecca had mentioned earlier, Ready for K was formed after almost a decade of research done at Stanford University by our founder, Dr. Benjamin York. We've extended the results of the research that he did in San Francisco Unified School District in several follow-up studies, and we now have multiple evaluations happening at Stanford, Brown, and Notre Dame universities as well. So next slide, please. I will be walking you all through some of the new products that we've come up with based on the ongoing research that we have, which are mainly personalized learning, summer learning, trauma-informed learning, as well as image-supported learning. Next slide, please. So the first new product, the first new exciting way, shall I say, in which we're working with partners is around personalized learning. And so we have the ability to tailor messages that we send to families based on each child's development level, which is based on their ages and stages questionnaire results. And once we customize learning to each child's development level, we're also able to refer families to supplemental services. So each week in the Ready for KFAC message, parents receive information on their child's development level, and later in the week, they receive tips and growth messages specifically targeted to their child's development. So for example, if a child is below the cutoff in a certain area, the Ready for K messages will refer families to that area's referral system. So in this slide, you can see that, the fact message that we're sending is to Isaac's parents, and we're saying Isaac's ASQ3 results show that he's working on gross motor skills like balance. When kids do fun things like dance, play sports, or ride a bike, they build these skills. Build Isaac's balance with lots of play. So as you can see, this was a message that was personalized to this particular child based on what area he needed to grow in. Next slide. The next initiative that we're working on is also based on research, and it's basically the summer learning, summer curriculum that we have. Research shows that students lose over a whole month of learning over the summer, and these losses are especially true for math as well as for low-income students, which increases achievement gaps. So the good news is that Ready for K can actually help curb those losses by continually engaging with parents over the summer. So what we've done is that we leverage activities designed to support families, especially those families that have varied summer schedules, and we use the curriculum to encourage outdoor play and child-led learning, and we also work with families on transitioning back to school after the summer. Next slide. So just as an example, a tip that we would send in the summer would be, in the morning, work together to make a list of 10 new things you want to try this summer. Include things like tasting a new fruit or visiting a new park. Next. Our third new product that we're working on is trauma-informed learning. And this, came from a lot of research that's done on the effects of early childhood trauma. And in fact, research has shown that that 1 out of every 4 children are going to experience a traumatic event before the age of 16. And we all know that trauma can result from events such as exposure to natural disasters or being a victim of violence or emotional or physical neglect, etc. So the good news here is that research has indicated that if there are supportive and responsive relationships at home, especially through caring adults as early in life as possible, we can prevent children from, the damaging effects of toxic stress. So in order to do that, Ready for K has partnered with mental health experts and agencies, as well as community health workers, to create messages that are specifically designed to help parents who are experiencing the effects of trauma. So the messages that we've written are aligned with the protective factors framework, which are based on 5 characteristics of strengths of individuals and families, and trauma, and helping families, navigate successfully any challenging situations that they're facing. So an example would be, a fact message that would say, parenting is full of ups and downs, and it's normal to experience big emotions. It can be tough to remain calm as a parent, but staying calm helps your child feel secure. Next slide. The last new product that I'm sharing with you today is our image curriculum. Research has found that adding images to messages has actually increased message recall rates. So using the National Racial and Ethnic Statistics as a guide, we have actually created an entire multimedia curriculum that uses images in our every Monday, the fact message that we send an image along with that message to visually reinforce each week's activity. Next slide. So those were the 4 areas that we're currently working on: the personalized learning, the summer learning program, the trauma-informed learning, as well as the image program. And we are currently offering grants to our prospective partners who would like to join, Ready for K. We do have 3 tiers, and each tier reflects the number of years you're gonna commit for. So you can commit for 1 to up to 3 years, and the proportion of the grant given to you would depend on the tier level that you choose. And Head Starts automatically qualify. So do any other schools that have at least 80% of kids who qualify for free and reduced price lunch. We also have different ways of figuring out if you and your school or your organization qualifies for a grant. So please feel free to reach us at info@readyfork.com. Thank you.